Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn, and this is my growing borrow pit or steel pit because I don't plan on returning any of the dirt that I take. It's sort of turned into a dual purpose, maybe a tri-purpose, if that's a word, three purposes. So one is to use some fill dirt, mostly to improve woods roads. A second one, which I think I mentioned in one of the previous videos, I'll review it here in a bit more detail, but a pole barn, sort of where that area is there. And then the other one, this is 2 loads of rock. This is supposed to be 2 to 6 inches. This one's longer than 6 inches, but and this is also going to be for woods road, actually my low road, which is a very wet road, but with the dry conditions I may be able to access it. I want to use this rock because, one, I want to be able to drive over it, and that road sort of is, in several areas, if not the whole road, is sort of a wash point from a higher elevation for the water to run into the brook, which is sort of adjacent to that road. That's why I call it the low road, because it's low. So with this here, one, I stabilize it, be able to drive over it without sinking in, causing ruts, and allows the water to run through without having to put a bunch of culverts or pipes or anything in it. So this is the third purpose, is just sort of a staging area. So this is about 40 tons. I carry about 20. It depends how they load me, but about 20 tons per load with my triaxle. I do have occasional trips to my growing stockpile of rocks as I dig out these larger ones that I don't want in my fill dirt. So regarding the pole barn, how I have these flags set up here, and I'm going to move them, but at least it gave me an idea of size, is just on the other side of those young fir trees is my property line. So that white flag right there, and this pink flag right there, as well as another white one there and another pink one there. Those are the corners. So this is marked out for 30 feet wide or deep and 60 feet long. So my plan for the pole barn, my primary purpose in wanting to get it done soon, is that the first 20 feet of it, well, probably on this side, but it doesn't matter, but the 20 feet of it I'm going to completely enclose, and that's going to be an area to store my lumber, so I don't have to have it stickered outside. I can put it inside without stickers and segregate it by, dimensions, lengths, 2x4, 2x6, etc. Right now it's just sort of stacked where it is, and sometimes I have to hunt and dig for stuff that I want. And then the remaining 40 feet will be bays for equipment, say a small excavator, my tractor, implements to keep them under cover, but it's going to be open on that side, the north side. So when we get wind, it either comes from the west or the south generally. So as far as snow goes, I don't want a big snow drift in front of it. So the reason I'm going to move it is this front flag, which would be the opening to the pole barn. Right now it's about 65 feet from my property line, and probably about 50 feet from the edge of the trees. I want to leave that sort of a buffer of evergreen trees between myself and the property line. But I want to leave plenty of room for me, because I don't know what the use of this pole barn is going to be outside of what I've already mentioned. I want to have plenty of room. Say if I was supposed to, had a trailer that I wanted to turn and back in, 50 feet, probably not enough space. So I know it's hard to tell elevation on camera, but 3 of these, to the best, I haven't taken my laser level out here yet, but to the best of my knowledge, that one there, that one, and that one are relatively level with one another. And then this one here, by the front of the tractor, is low by, 2 feet or something like that. So the other consideration I have in trying to figure out where to put this, and I don't want to steal dirt that I'm going to have to use to level this out and get it to the right elevation. I might as well just leave it here and, push it where I need to, is obviously I don't want the entrance to be lower than the road, so there'll be a road, just sort of a dirt road, that'll scoot along here in front of the pole barn. And right now, like over there by the property line, the elevation is higher. But comes to the road, I want the road level to be basically the same level or slightly less than the finished level, the dirt floor of the pole barn. And I know that away we have a slight elevation level as well. So to accomplish turning room, as well as get the grade where I want, so the building is at least as level as the surrounding area, I may have to do some swales or drainage ditches sort of around it, at least on this upper side, is to locate it so that I can do that easily without going hog wild with excavation or stupid stuff. So once I scrape the topsoil from this area that I'm doing now, which is basically from there over to here, I'm gonna take this off all the way down, sort of meet up with this one here. And this is in this little hump here, which I've explained before. We're standing right here, sort of in the low spot. So from here to that crushed rock is roughly level. We might even be setting a bit low, but the overall grade of this whole area goes up as you go from left to right. So the further I move over here, is the easier it's going to be to level this out, and I'll have more room to grade the surrounding area without having to make specific swale or ditches alongside the building. So that building really is not what this video is going to be about, because I'm quite a ways from doing that. But I didn't want to sort of backtrack and cost myself more work by taking out more material here than I would like. So what I don't know what this video is going to be about, other than it's going to be improving woods rows of some sort. I just don't know if it's going to be using that rock or whether it's going to be using this fill dirt. I'm not sure, probably some combination of both. But what I haven't shown before is, because I haven't done it until recently, at least with this new topsoil, is how I stockpile my dirt, when I'm hauling it with the tractor. That pile there I pushed with the bulldozer. That basically came from where the blue rocks are, and I just pushed it there into a pile. There's really no good place to put it. This is fine, because it's sort of that right there is sort of where the entrance, where the road will be to the pole barn. That'll have to be moved eventually. But I'm starting another one here, and I don't have my dozer, which is sort of on another field that away. That may show up in this video depending on how things go. So I'm starting another pile there, and this is going to end up being very similar to the one right there that we just used a lot of dirt from. I loaded my dump truck for the first time to spread out that topsoil. I'm still waiting for a forecast of decent weather to spread the seeds so they don't dry out and die. So I thought at least I'd show one iteration of how I do this. So one thing you may have noticed is there's a tailgate right there, and that was at the time that was sort of on the edge of the last strip of sod that I removed. But that tailgate goes to here. When I move sod, I take the tailgate off, because the tailgate gets in the way. It does absolutely no good. It doesn't really increase the capacity. So what I use, and you'll see here in a bit, but I sort of use the sod and make my own tailgate and really hump this up as far as I can, because the sod, the topsoil, is really not that heavy. It's not that dense. So this plastic has been working really well. You can see I do have a little bit that's stuck in the corner. I made the mistake when this happened before of trying to use my bucket to scrape it out, and lo and behold, I put a little hole in it. So you can see it is a bit wavy. I don't think it's necessarily stuff underneath it. You can see perhaps there, it's really, I don't know if the sun does it or what, but it just bubbles up, and it's really not a big deal. It doesn't bother me at all, but if it becomes a concern, I can always fasten it down in more areas. So I won't try to remove that stuff with the bucket again. If I need to remove that, I'll use a shovel. So that's the process. I'll just keep doing that over and over again until I run out of room here, which probably won't happen anytime soon, or done taking topsoil. So that pile over there, which we took from before, my best guess is I've probably taken 150, 175 yards, cubic yards from that. I'm guessing there's probably another 100 yards there still to go. I have no idea how big this pile is going to be. There are a lot of big rocks though. Yeah, so I think before I do too much more in the way of topsoil, I'll have to figure out something. Either buy a shaker screen, which is meant for topsoil, separate root balls and clumps as well as rocks, or just either buy or build a set of grizzly bars, which would just take out the rocks and not do quite as well with clumps, but I think it might do a little bit. There's just so many of them. I try to take out the ones that I can that are obvious, but just all over the place. And I've not used a power rake before. I'm looking forward to getting one at some point, but I'm guessing big rocks probably don't do well with a power rake. Smaller ones are fine. It separates them out. But boy, if I separated all the rocks out now after I laid the topsoil down, it'd be quite a pile. I think I'm better off doing it ahead of time. Alright, so we'll meet up again when I have a direction or a plan or some activities related to improving woods roads. Well, we are over here at the site where I spread some topsoil a video or two ago. There's my house. And right here is the entrance to a couple woods roads. This is the south side of our property. Both of these roads are parallel to one another and basically go straight north. So this will be the first area that I work on. While my tractor is over there doing its regen, it always picks the most inconvenient time to do that. But it is what it is. So that's doing that thing. Here's a little bit of a dip, a bit of a muddy area. So the first load I have in there, I'm just going to dump here, spread it out. So I have one road there, which will need some work, but that's not what we're going to work on today. Again, it's low, it's muddy. So my overall objective with all of these projects is to get the road at least as high as the surrounding areas. And in many cases, the road is the lowest point. Particularly ones that I've used for a while and sort of compressed it and with use to get the road up higher so at least it doesn't become a riverbed. So we're walking towards this. This is the low road. We call this because it's the lowest point of our property. I did a lot of work down here this winter because it froze, unlike it had the several winters before. Here's some other areas where there's a rock, a low spot. So I may put another load in here too. You have a swell there from the root ball of that red maple. So I'm not looking for perfection, but I have free dirt, I have time, this is fun. But my first objective here as far as significant work or dealing with the specific drainage issue is right here. So this is the hill downward. It basically starts right about here, continues down. I skidded a couple logs out here sometime last winter and I spun a bit. There wasn't a lot of snow cover for whatever reason, perhaps because of the wetness. This area didn't freeze up that well, so I actually spun, had to drop the twitch there, drive my tractor to the top and then winch it up. And it gets really wet here. This has been one of the driest summers I can remember, and we still have really wet conditions here in the woods. But right there is sort of a natural drain area. What I tried several years ago was to sort of hollow out a spot here. You can see the rocks and just dump rocks in. It works if there's just a bit of a trickle, but if there's anything more than that, it sort of shortcuts itself and heads down that way. So it creates a rut, basically where the wheel tracks are. Again, the low point. So my plan here is to bring the dozer. I don't have the excavator nearby. That's sort of loading my trailer on the other side of the property. Is bring my dozer blade. Hopefully I can just sort of make a bit more of a deeper cut in here. I have a couple 4-inch SDR pipes left over from a job, and I do have a bucket full of that pretty blue rock. So between the pretty blue rock and the 2 pipes and the fact that I'm going to cover this up a little bit, hopefully that will provide enough drainage so it goes that way. It can go downhill that way all at once. There's my property line. The pink ribbon. There's the yellow ribbon up there. It's all the same property line. But anyhow, to do anything that I can to prevent it from going down that way. And again, I'm going to fill this as well, and that should also help sort of create a dam so that it has to go that way or prefers to go that way. All right, but the first order of business is to dump at least that 1 load. Probably spread that out with the dozer. And I don't know if I'll bring another couple loads to sort of smooth out some of the areas coming in here before we get to this little hill. Spread that out with a dozer, or if I just spread that 1 load and come back here with a dozer and create that that ditch to put the pipe and pretty blue rock in. So this is filter fabric. I do have road fabric too, but I chose filter fabric because filter fabric, sort of as the name implies, will let water run through it. So if the water's running here, if there's openings like here that the water can sort of drain into the ground, that's fine. Whereas road fabric is more like, it's a woven material, it's sort of like a tarp, and it doesn't really allow water to penetrate, so any water that comes into the stitch would have to go out this end. So I don't know, either way would be fine, but this is sort of why I need to do something to this road. So it's not that steep, it's just so greasy with the mud. I mean, that's sort of about level. But then I've got myself into a rut, and so I have the grade of the road itself, and then I have to get out of the rut, which obviously increases that. But I think there's, like a lot of areas, I think there's bedrock pretty close. Well, I have two choices. I could drive forward, but then I'll sort of contaminate my rock, go out the other way. Or the bulldozer's right there, I could chain it up and pull myself out. Well, I didn't do too much damage to that, but the bigger issue is if I continue to go that way through the low road and up the other side, that'll end up in the field where my borrow pit is. But I unhooked my trailer, which is out that way. So maybe what I'll do is just go get another bucket load of this rock, get the pipe, finish this up. And the access road to here, I think I will take some trailer loads and put it and dump it in. It was really rough with the bulldozer. It wasn't so rough with the tractor or the wheeled vehicle, rubber tires. But with a trailer, it always adds more difficulty backing up a trailer when it's real rocky, because that tends to have the trailer sort of turn on its own without you turning. And just can lead to a mess. I could have brought a shovel, but with this sort of stuff, I'm not even sure a shovel is that helpful. Now, I know covering this pipe with that course of a rock is probably not the best idea. A chance it could dent or crack or bend it. But that's the way it is. That's what I'm going to use. Even if it does disturb it some, I'm thinking I'll have enough flow, sort of as a French drain, if this rock is, say, a foot or foot and a half thick, even without the pipes. I think the pipes just try to create some voids and just have that extra flow capacity. This line here where all of a sudden it goes from firm to soft, I think is where I filled in. I think I scraped the top of that where the tractor is, because it had sort of a little bit of a hump, so I softened that and then filled this material in. So, and that does seem like ledge though. So I'm thinking some of this was sort of topsoil. So I hadn't planned on using much in the way of road fabric But I think I will. But the problem is I can't get down here because I want to fill that in more before I put fabric on top of it. But I'm not sure I can come down here with a trailer dump and then get back out again. I had a hard enough time without a trailer. So what I might do is put a load of rock down here, fill in these ruts, hopefully give myself some more traction, then come back with another load after I put road fabric down. So anyhow, but for now I want to soften up or flatten out or improve that section of road from where the tractor is out to the field, or where we left off with that first load. It might take 2 or 3 loads, I'm not sure. Level it out with the bulldozer. That'll make backing up in here a lot easier with the trailer if I have sort of level ground. So for these loads here, I think I actually have a bit more material than I need for this section. And here's not a lot of big ruts or divots here. So I'm going to place a little bit of a gap in the next load. But here's one of the problem areas. This might be a stone under there, but at least it's a big root ball for these 2 trees. Rock there. Little muddy spot there, so I'll leave a bit of a gap, assuming that I'm just going to push a lot of that to fill the gap, and then probably start the next couple loads here. So that last load was a bit more dense. The reason I had to back up was because the trailer was sort of at an incline this way and it just wouldn't dump. So I had to put the tires back here, let the tractor ride up on that little hump so the trailer sort of tipped like this to sort of help get it going, which it did. So yeah, I'm getting into some more hard pan, maybe a bit more wet clay, so obviously the moisture is going to add a lot of weight compared to the drier fluffy stuff, which probably actually has a little bit of the lower level topsoil mixed in as well, which appears to be a bit lighter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's 5 loads. I don't know, I have a counter on my tractor, I just never think to use it. So hopefully I'll push it this way and have enough just to barely skim in these little low spots here where the tracks are, and should be good to go. Well, that was the first load we dumped. That's packed down nicely. That's what I like about woods roads is they don't have to be perfect, but it's so easy to make a huge improvement, so quick and easy. Well, if you have the fill dirt, that can be the expensive part if you have to buy it. All right, now let's tackle that hill. What I am thinking is just going to bring a load of stone here. I'm not going to do road fabric. I'm reluctant to do that in the woods because if I did that, if that was my norm, then oh my goodness, I'd go through so much road fabric. But the other consideration is, these roads don't get used much. I understand if you don't put road fabric down and you put in some sort of material on top like stone and it's constantly being driven over, it's going to mix in. And the purpose of road fabric is to sort of separate those soil types as well as sort of stabilize the surface. But I just want to make this passable. It's not going to be a regular route, so I think that's fine. And primarily I'm looking for use of this in the wintertime, and in a wintertime where the ground may not be completely frozen. So I think just the stone and the fill that I'm using without road fabric is fine. That seems to have worked in other sort of isolated, limited areas that I've done before. I've not really had any issue with the stone sort of getting buried or mixing up. So that sort of berm there that I created when I dug this little trench, I'm going to leave there. Sort of just, I'm guessing the road surface will sort of be on top of this anyhow. And this will act nicely as a dam, I think, to prevent water from going downhill, which is that way. Which is what I had been doing. I think, but once I get over this area, as well as here, down in the corner where it dog legs to the left, I'll just use the same fill dirt that we just got done spreading out, because this stuff is not cheap. About $15 a ton. So it's about $300 a truckload. One, two, three, so 4 loads. I think this will make a huge difference. It's not that bad here. A little bit worse around the corner. But why I sort of concentrated a fair amount of material here is that while the first load I could not really make the corner, so I'll just push it. So it's a little slopey here, obviously some ruts, some mud. On the other thing I'd like to be able to fill in a bit is this rock. So this large rock here sort of makes this passageway a bit narrow. So as it is now, I ride on a couple pieces of it. So if I can just push some of that dirt here to smooth that out just a little bit. Here it is again here, but that's not too bad. So I'm almost to the end of my goal for this section, which is the south hill of the low road, if you will. To come around here and basically get past this rock. Then I'm pretty good, for probably, a couple 100 feet before I need any more treatment. And I think the first load coming down here, had it in second gear, nicely going down the hill, and all of a sudden all the tires in four-wheel drive, because I want the traction for the brakes, as well as slowing down, so using the engine to brake. But all 4 wheels started to skid a little bit, so I was going a lot faster than my wheels were down here for a little bit of a section. Then the tires got onto this rock, and that was all good. Well, I didn't quite put as much down here by the rock as I hoped to. I really didn't mean to dig up the root of that nice cedar. I got a bit deeper there in that corner than I wanted to, but anyhow, so this is a bit more passable. But, I consider anything beyond this as sort of fine-tuning, which I'll worry about when I have the rough tuning done. But boy, what a difference. This road is so much better. Should be, once it packs down, firms up, which it will. It may not this summer. My experiences with this type of material, like when the fall comes, this is going to get wet and mushy. It's not going to pack well. But over the winter into next summer, once it goes through a freeze-thaw cycle, it'll be firm, very firm. It'll probably start growing grass and stuff like other areas that I've used similar material have done. So this pipe is, I guess I should have put it deeper. I think when I was dumping the rock in there, it might have sort of gone underneath and lifted it up. But the other one's a bit deeper. So, along the lines of fine-tuning, I may cover this a bit more. I may use the same rock if I have some left over. I may sort of top dress this entire, at least the steepest part of the hill, which is basically from the top, basically to where we are, particularly now that I've put that material there, that softened that grade quite a bit. So I may top that with like a 3-inch dense grade or a stay mat. It's sort of a same rock product, just crushed a bit more, providing some packing from the rock dust. So this objective is complete, which is to get the south side hill passable, which it is. Next will be the north side hill, and that will be an upcoming video. So I hope you stay tuned for that one. I do appreciate you staying tuned for this one. Thank you.